Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from any part of the world. This is Tony HP. Thank you so much for being here today. In this video, I'm going to talk about the beginning. This month, the month of March, we're celebrating Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. I share a post on my Facebook profile in which I talk about the multiple sclerosis awareness for this month that we're currently in. So I'm going to talk about multiple sclerosis awareness month and how all of us can contribute towards this cause in helping families that have loved ones that have been diagnosed and they're going through with diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. First of all, I'm going to do an introduction, a brief introduction as to why I'm doing this, I'm doing this for multiple sclerosis. If you don't know or you're not familiar with multiple sclerosis, sclerosis is a disease that affects your brain and your spinal cord. In other words, the brain and the spinal cord is your central nervous system, and this disease affects that system, and the effects that disease can bring vary with each person. But one of the most common symptoms of multiple sclerosis is that this disease affects the movement of the movement of people, how people can move with their bodies. It also can create fatigue, dizziness. It can also create memory problems, and many other negative effects. I'm not an expert of everything related to multiple sclerosis, but I have an idea in terms of what this disease does. Not from research, from doing research online or reading about it, or even seeing videos about multiple sclerosis. But I myself have been personally affected by multiple sclerosis. And the way that I have been affected is that two close members of my family have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. One is my aunt from my mother's side. She was diagnosed multiple sclerosis for more than 20 years. And I remember seeing, in terms of what I saw, the problems that she had because of multiple sclerosis were mobility problems. She couldn't move or walk anymore, and it was a progression of that disease which forced her to never walk again. She got stuck into a wheelchair. Eventually got stuck into a bed and he couldn't even get up, and which the multiple sclerosis affected her mobility. It also affected memory problems and other things. But that's the thing that I remember the most. What happened with my aunt was mobility issues. She couldn't move anymore. And sadly, my aunt passed away almost 10 years ago. She passed away, I believe, was on April of 2008. She passed away. She died from multiple sclerosis because her multiple sclerosis was, we found, in her case, the multiple sclerosis was identified too late. And if the multiple sclerosis would have been identified for her earlier, then perhaps then we would have had a different outcome. But I'm telling you from the experience that I lived through, she passed away almost 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. So I personally lived through that. And another family member, which is even more closer to me, that is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, is my own mother. In fact, my aunt and my mother obviously are sisters, and my mom is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She got diagnosed, I believe, was almost more than 20 years ago, and I think that they identified that she had multiple sclerosis around 10 years after it first started. So even it wasn't that early, that wasn't that early, but it wasn't that too late either. And because of that, my mom got into treatment for multiple sclerosis. Her multiple sclerosis has been in control, and it wasn't as severe as my aunt's condition with multiple sclerosis. It's just like in the autism spectrum, for example. We have, the low, middle, high functioning autism. But even though we have those three types, three classifications of autism, that one person with autism may not go through the same challenges that another person with autism goes through. The same thing is with people with multiple sclerosis. Each person with multiple sclerosis don't go through the same challenges and doesn't receive the same effects of the disease. And I can talk about birth. I can personally talk about my mother's experience. The problems that she received is that, for example, she cannot be outside. She gets struggles with temperature. She cannot be under the heat because she's exposed to the heat for even for a short period of time. That can affect her her system and can create severe fatigue. That's one of the main symptoms of multiple sclerosis: severe fatigue. She suffers from dizziness and some memory problems too. But her primary primary symptom of the disease is fatigue and dizziness. She cannot be outside, if the temperatures are very hot, very high. Because if not, then that creates very severe fatigue, which can severe your health condition. So thank God that my mom is here. My mom is here and well despite the multiple sclerosis. Recently, about a year ago, I was able to get a cooling equipment from the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, which can help this cooling equipment can help my mom when she needs to get out under high temperatures during the day. So I'm very grateful to the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America for be able to provide this cooling equipment. So those are my two very close personal cases with multiple sclerosis. My maternal aunt and my very own mother. So the reason why I'm doing this video is that, as I mentioned before in the beginning of the video, this is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. So I ask all of you today to help with this cause, whether it's volunteer or whether it's to donate to your organization of choice that supports multiple sclerosis. My experience with multiple sclerosis has not been as long as long history as my experience with helping organizations with multiple sclerosis has not been have been that I haven't done that a lot as I've done with my autism work. But I started last year. I volunteer with the National Multiple Sclerosis National Multiple Sclerosis Society here in America. I participate in their annual walk event, walk MS event last year. I volunteered with them. I'll be able to help them with the running the event. And this year there's going to be a walk MS event. I believe it's going to be in the middle of March. We need to verify that, in which I'm going to participate. Probably going to participate. And if I decide to participate, I would love to do a team, and I would love to receive your support for my team for the upcoming Walk MS. This Walk MS are done by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. So if I were to do that, I will let you guys know. But overall, you guys can donate. Today I want to do a video to donate to two organizations, either the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America or the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, or even both. I'm going to put the link to their websites right down below. As I said, I don't belong to any organization. But these are the I've been connected to these two organizations. Um, I've gone to events by the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, and they have helped. They were able to help with the sending the cooling equipment for my mom, and also volunteer with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. I was able to see what both organizations do. So please donate, whenever you can, donate either financial support or even volunteer, some capacity. This is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month, and I challenge all of you. Let's continue to raise the awareness for multiple sclerosis. Let's make a difference out there for families that have loved ones diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and so eventually we're able to find a cure and be able to help them live, help them provide, be able to raise the awareness so we can help them live a much better life. So I'm going to put the links right down below. Any questions, any comments you'd like to make, please let me know, okay? Thank you so much for being here today. This is Tony HP. Until next time, bye-bye.